Why is every parent so obsessed about protein? Pull up a chair, we're going to have a little chat about this. There are a few issues in this statement that I want to have a chat about, but the first one is, why are we as parents so obsessed with protein? Yes, we know that protein can be helpful with, satiating our child, but here's what I want you to focus more rather than on protein. Focus on iron. All foods that contain iron also contain protein, but the reverse is not true. So every protein containing food does not contain iron. Iron deficiency anemia is the leading deficiency in children, and it can cause detrimental effects if your child is deficient in iron. That's the first thing out of the way. What this parent says up here, that they fix the meal in different ways, that's great, because if the child is unwilling to eat, say for example, a mixed dish, and you plate it like tacos, for example, and you plate it separately and the child can make their own variation of it, great. That's a wonderful thing, because most likely some of those components will be safe options or reliable options and the child can be successful. That's great. This next part about eating the protein, we've already talked about protein, but getting the treat if they finish their meal, and the next part of this comment was that they only get snacks if they finish their plate. Okay. Let's break this down as to why I think that's a terrible idea. Please remember that this video is for educational purposes, to help you improve and modify what you are currently doing to be something more beneficial for your child in the long term. First of all, if you're going to give a treat, call it by its name. You're getting a piece of chocolate, you're getting a bit of candy, you're getting some whatever it is. Call it by its name. Treats are what dogs and cats get. Your child is not a dog or a cat, and they do not need to have it called as a treat, because if you call it a treat or something fun, it makes it seem like it's something fun, and you are inevitably doing the opposite of what you want. You don't want your child to be obsessed with treats, so don't call them treats and fun food. Just call it by its name, like any other food. So how do you avoid using this, like, if you eat this, then you get a treat or you get the cake or whatever? Serve it all together. I'm going to tell you a story about a client that I currently have in my small coaching group. She was allowing her child to pick 2 Halloween candies each day, and he had autonomy over when he had them. He could have one in the morning, one at lunch, one at morning snack, one at dinner time. He was able to pick, but he was constantly asking for sweets. So even though what mum thought she was doing was actually helping take them off the pedestal by making them more available, he was constantly asking for treats. Mum, when do I get a treat? Mum, when do I get a treat? And she was like, I am going to explode if he asks me for this again. So what I suggested was something counterintuitive. I said, let him pick one meal in the day where he can have it, and let him have an unlimited amount. And it's unlimited within reason, of course. We're not going to let the child sit there and eat for an hour, because we wouldn't let a child sit there for an hour to eat dinner anyway. So we're going to allow them to eat, and my suggestion was, put it with the meal. I've always said that. I have a whole sweets playlist. Go and check it out. I have a whole course dedicated to how to make sweets part of everyday life so that children do not become obsessed and fixated on them, because that in the long term is not a healthy outlook on life and on sweets. So as soon as this mum made it that her child was able to pick how many he wanted to have, he was picking 2 or 3 or 4, which is totally reasonable. And she told me after a few days, he was eating his dinner and the sweet, and he was not asking for more, and he was not asking for treats all day long. The last part of this is, okay, now if they eat their whole plate, they can ask for snacks. Well, why do you want them? I'm struggling to see why and how that's helpful to the child. If the child is still hungry after they've finished their meal, you can give them seconds of the meal, and then they shouldn't need to have a snack depending on what their bedtime is like. They shouldn't need to have a snack before bed. If your child is eating within about 2 hours of bedtime, they don't require a snack. So let me know what questions this brought up for you. This is what I help my private clients with.